1 March 1965. My dearest Suzie, how are you and the boys getting along? I hope you haven't had any more sickness. I got a letter from you today and was real glad to get it. I'm getting mail pretty regularly now. Things are the same over here now. Very quiet. I'm not flying today. I sent some more jewelry today. The earrings are for you. I hope you like them. I don't think the metal is as good as your pin, but they will go with it anyway. The pin is for Shirley. Tell her I couldn't find another one like yours. The one I sent was as close as I could get it. The bracelet is for Glenda. I was in town yesterday and I looked for a jewelry box for your mother, but I couldn't find a nice one, so I'll wait till I go to Saigon. They have some nice ones there. I guess I might as well tell you now. I joined the armed platoon here. I was so bored with flying troop ships that I decided a change might help. I haven't started flying with them yet, but I will Saturday. I will have a lot to learn, and it will all be new as I figure time will go faster. I was getting tired of being a taxi driver. There was supposed to be a formation Saturday to award our air medals, but everybody had to work, so we couldn't have it. Now, I don't know when they will get around to it. Anyway, I know I have one. I was planning to send the medal when I got it, but I can't. We have to turn it in before every ceremony so they can put the new clusters on them. See, they only give you the first medal, and for every one that you earn after that, you get an oak leaf cluster for the first one. I have actually earned 6 so far, but there's no telling how long it will take to get them issued. Well, that is about it for today. I love you all and miss you very much. We are almost halfway finished. Love you. Bill. The first thing about this letter that fascinates me is his mention of jewelry, yet again. Still, I can't believe how much he prioritized getting people jewelry and souvenirs, almost like he was on vacation and wasn't regularly getting shot at. Perhaps he was more sentimental than I give him credit for. Clearly, he cared about his family and wanted to give them things to remember his service and travels by. I guess the jewelry was his way of doing it. It all reminds me of when we were cleaning out Meemaw's trailer before she moved, and she insisted on giving me most of her jewelry box, mostly the things she knew she would never wear again. There honestly wasn't much of value in there, she kept all the gold and silver things, but instead it was filled with what felt to be trinkets and odds and ends from Poppy's service. The articulating fish he mentioned a few letters ago was in there. So were many pins that he used to own, most of which seemed to be from Germany. They celebrated mountaineering or some landmark he likely visited while he was stationed over there. There were also some necklaces that were either real or fake ivory or bone. A big bedazzled pin that read Jesus, a few pair of cufflinks, one of which I wore for my wedding, and a necklace that matches Meemaw's princess ring but is loaded with fake gemstones and metal. Meemaw was happy I was interested in these things, almost as if they were museum pieces. Their value was completely historical and sentimental to me, and maybe that's all I need. They are tangible connections to these letters and his travels. The next thing I find fascinating is his transfer to the Cobras. Though he may have already been flying what were considered, quote, combat missions, these typically were accidental. He didn't set off that day with armaments attached to his Huey, planning to blow things up. Often he was, as he puts it, a taxi driver who got shot at and had to defend himself. This transfer to the Cobras was deliberate, a choice to become more active in the offensive side of the war. He wouldn't be flying medevac or troop lift as often, but he would be firing rockets and unloading hellfire on the VC. What boggles my mind is his decision to put himself in greater danger. For someone who has expressed multiple times that he's afraid of getting shot at and hated the run-ins with the enemy, he certainly didn't put himself in a good position to avoid those things. Contrarily, he put a target on his back. Why would the enemy shoot at helicopters transporting the wounded and dead instead of the ones shooting at them? Was he really this bored? Does this mean that boredom overcomes fear as a motivator? Perhaps instead he wanted to grant himself some agency. Perhaps he felt like he was going to get shot at anyway, and if he had rockets attached to his helicopter and door gunners, he at least had some power to defend himself, to get back at the people who have cost him so much in the months that he had already been there. Either way, I find that interesting. What does that say about war, masculinity, and imperialism? That a soldier with almost no vested interest in the conflict would rather trade safety for excitement. The photo I chose for today may be one of the most aesthetically pleasing. It is a helicopter in the sky. If you look closely, the front has a cobra on it. The back says Army. Behind the door is a rocket pod and some guns. I'm Alex Lowie, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my poppy wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.